I'm coming to get you, Barbara! What's up, guys? Welcome to Season 3 of October Horrorfest. This season, we'll be looking at a bunch of zombie movies. Starting off, of course, with the original Night of the Living Dead from 1968. This one's a classic and was one of George Romero's best. It also paved the way for many other zombie films that followed. So, the film starts off with a brother and sister, Johnny and Barbara, who are at a cemetery visiting their father's grave. A strange individual stumbles up and attacks Barbara. Then Johnny jumps in to save her and they awkwardly wrestle around until he falls and whacks his head on a tombstone. The strange man then bypasses Johnny completely to pursue Barbara. Wait a minute, isn't this a zombie movie? Why didn't he eat or at least bite Johnny? What the fuck? Anyway, so Barbara takes refuge in this nearby farmhouse where she finds the owner dead and half-eaten. It's here she runs into Ben, and together they fortify the farmhouse until help arrives. But suddenly, more people emerge from the basement who are also seeking shelter. This guy Tom, who just wants to help, and Harry, a grumpy asshole whose daughter was bit, and yes, she's not looking too good. As more of these ghouls start to surround the farmhouse, they learn that the cause of the zombies is radiation from a space probe that exploded upon re-entry. Now, if that doesn't sound like some kind of 1950s sci-fi shit, I don't know what does. So Ben devises a plan to escape with his truck, but it needs to be filled up first. So they head to the gas station. Obviously, the group gets attacked while they're getting gas, and for whatever fucking reason, they defend themselves with Molotov cocktails. Yes, at a gas station. Jesus Christ. As to be expected, Tom and his girlfriend get fucking blown up, and then more fuckery ensues. Back at the farmhouse, Harry barricades himself inside, and then is quickly killed in a fight with Ben. And then in some act of karma, his daughter succumbs to her injuries, reanimates, and then eats her dad. Justice. As they're overrun, Barbara gets dragged away by zombies, and Ben locks himself in the basement. Well, I guess they did come to get you, Barbara. Damn. The next morning, all these soldiers show up to purge the area, and when Ben attempts to be rescued, he's shot dead immediately and added to the pile of zombies to burn. Well, shit. Maybe you shouldn't have been running around like a maniac. The end. So this one's a classic. I mean, it's kind of cheesy, to be honest, but don't worry. We'll be reviewing 15 other remakes of this one soon enough, so I'll see you on the next one. Welcome back to October Horrorfest! Moving right along with our zombie theme, I'll be taking a look at the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978. In this one, the world is ravaged by an unknown phenomenon that reanimates dead bodies. As the military and government fail to contain or stop the incident, social order collapses, causing chaos everywhere. In the midst of this, two SWAT officers, Roger and Peter, are raiding a local project where the tenants are harboring undead. Soon after this, the two agree to leave with Roger's friend Steven, a TV reporter, and together they take refuge in the local mall, where, of course, Roger gets bitten after helping to clear out the zombies. Once the mall's secure, though, they all live it up using all the stores and all the accessories made available to them. I mean, shit, wouldn't you? To be fair, if it were me, I would definitely do that. Come on, guys, free shit. Eventually, though, Roger does turn and is killed by Peter. Steven's girlfriend, who's been there the whole time, is actually pregnant and keeps asking to leave the mall. No bitch, shut up. For whatever reason, though, Steven is giving her flying lessons in his helicopter. Why? Why are you doing that? Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, he's one of those, flying traffic reporters. Yeah. Anyway, so a biker gang sees the helicopter flying around, and then they head over to conquer the mall, letting a shit ton of zombies back inside in the process. Yay! Steven engages in a shootout with the bikers, resulting in him being killed, and then reanimated, and then the bikers getting eaten. Same old story. Peter and Fran, the pregnant girlfriend, fight their way to the rooftop where they escape with the helicopter, leaving the mall behind to be foobarred by zombies. The end. Yeah, this is a good one. It's another zombie classic, but personally, I think the remake is better. But anyway, there's more zombie stuff to come, so I'll see you then. Welcome back to October Horrorfest for another zombie classic. Today, we're looking at Day of the Dead from 1985. A zombie apocalypse has destroyed the world. Zombies outnumber humans, and the remaining human beings all reside either in underground bunkers or in a barricaded camp. Deep underground, in the Florida Everglades, Dr. Logan, who's a scientist assigned to finding a solution to the pandemic, is attempting to domesticate zombies. Yeah, because that's a thing. Following the death of Major Cooper, who was the soldier in charge of the base, this douchebag, Captain Rhodes, steps in and claims leadership, saying he'll kill anybody who opposes him. Oh, cool. Dr. Logan presents Bub to him, a zombie who shows a small sign of intelligence and even slightly remembers pieces of his old life. As impressive as it is, Rhodes isn't impressed. Yeah, well, fuck you. A bit later on, during a roundup mission, Miguel, who is a soldier and boyfriend to another scientist named Sarah, gets bitten, and they have to amputate his arm to stop the spread of the infection. Rhodes then stops the experiments and has all the captive zombies put down. Sarah and Bill, one of the other guys in the lab, find out that Logan has been experimenting on severed zombie heads and has been feeding the flesh of Rhodes' dead soldiers to Bub for incentive to learn. Hearing this, Rhodes kills Logan, captures the other scientists, and leaves them, along with Sarah and the others, for dead. So honestly, up until this point, it's cheesy, yeah, but it's not horrible. Oh, but just you wait. Bub then escapes and finds the body of Dr. Logan. He then proceeds to pick up a gun and pursue Rhodes. Just in case you didn't hear me, I'll say it again. The zombie picks up a gun and runs after a person. Miguel goes suicidal and opens a gate to the facility, allowing zombies to pour in. Thanks. Sarah and the others manage to overthrow the soldiers just as the facility is being overrun. Bub catches up to Rhodes and shoots him in the stomach, allowing him to get eaten by the other zombies as Sarah and the others escape with a helicopter. The end. Okay, so it wasn't the best, but it also could have been worse. I mean, these Romero zombie films are becoming more and more of a parody. And the one zombie, Bub, like, I get it, he's, like, domesticated, but, like, he's carrying guns around and shit, like, I don't know. Anyway, so there's more zombie films to come, so stay tuned, kids. What's up, guys? Back for another Horrorfest adventure. This time, we're continuing the George Romero goodness with Land of the Dead. So, zombies basically dominate the Earth, with whatever humans are left residing in different outposts across the United States. One such outpost is guarded by a militia and is ran by a feudal-like government by a guy named Kaufman, which sits on like a abandoned wasteland in a former suburban town. While the rich live in a high-rise building, everyone else resides below in the slums. And this guy Riley, who's a respected member of the outpost, leads a crew out on a mission where they come across a zombie that seems to be intelligent, and they start calling him Big Daddy. Why? We don't know. So Kaufman tasks Riley and his new friend Slack with retrieving a vehicle called Dead Reckoning, a zombie-proof vehicle which is in the hands of a guy named Cholo, who wants to live in the high-rise, but he's been denied, so he's threatening to knock it down. Wow, what an asshole. Don't get your way, and you gotta cry about it. So Riley and Slack find Cholo, and they talk him out of blowing the building up, but instead, he opts to go after Kaufman. That's fine. Leave the building intact, but fuck that dude. Meanwhile, Big Daddy gathers a whole bunch of other zombies and they raid the outpost. Kaufman realizes the city's overrun and he tries to escape, only to be confronted by a now zombified Cholo, and then the two get blown up by Big Daddy. Damn, what is up with Romero and all these like fucking sentient zombies? Like, I don't get it. So Riley shows up just in the nick of time to see Big Daddy and the other zombies leaving the city, as I guess they were only after a place to stay. Wait a minute. So they're all like self-aware and they're just trying to like find room and board, like, okay, that's a thing. And with the outpost basically destroyed, Riley and the others set off for Canada in Dead Reckoning. The end. Okay, so, I mean, this one was just weird, and it seems like these Romero ones are just getting more and more strange over time. Big Daddy, another sentient zombie. I mean, I just don't understand what Romero was doing. Like, why did he have to have all these, like, zombies that were human? The Dead Reckoning thing was cool, like a souped up vehicle. Like, I get it. It's like an abandoned wasteland, post-apocalyptic. That whole thing makes sense, but the zombies, they didn't even attack anybody. They just wanted a place to stay. Like, what the hell? Anyway, guys, next up, unfortunately, is Diary of the Dead. Don't worry, it's the last Romero one, I think. See you then. Howdy do, y'all. Back to the Horrorfest we go, and today I'll be continuing the Romero fun with Diary of the Dead. So, some found footage shows a man killing his wife and son before killing himself. The wife and son then reanimate as zombies and kill a team of paramedics at the scene, leaving one medic and the reporter of the incident both bitten. The person telling the story is Deborah, who apparently is the main character. And meanwhile, a group of film students are making a horror movie in the woods, because that's always a good idea, when they hear about a mass murder in the area. A couple of the kids leave the group, and the director, Jason, goes to visit his girlfriend, which I guess is Deborah. And while Deborah, Jason, and some others travel to Deborah's parents' house, they're stopped by an armed group of survivors, led by a guy from the National Guard. The film students also travel to Deborah's parents' house to meet up with the group, only to find Deborah's zombified mom and brother eating her dad. Well, that's a welcome home party for you. So Deborah and the crew escape the National Guard and end up at a mansion owned by this guy named Ridley. As the group hides out inside, Jason's busy trying to film everything with a camera. Because plot, I guess. And then a zombified Ridley attacks him. Apparently this guy was bitten like long before they got there. So anyway, Ridley gets killed, and Jason has to be put down as well, because you're just outside doing fuckery, bro. Just then, zombies begin to raid the mansion, and Deborah and the others are forced into a tiny panic room, where their fate is left open-ended. So to be honest, this one was just extremely I mean, these Romero films, like I said previously, are just getting more and more blah. I don't know, I think he just stopped trying after a while. And I'll see you then. And here we are, back with October Horrorfest. Today, we're looking at the last entry of the Romero series, Survival of the Dead. I mean, at least I think this is the last one. Who really knows? Anyway, so the film opens up with the same group that led the guy from the National Guard in the previous movie. It pretty much shows them meeting up with Deborah's group, but from their own perspective. Then, we head to Plum Island, off the coast of Delaware, where we meet Patrick, who's going around the island killing all the zombies with the help of his family. Eventually, they come across the Muldoon family, who have been keeping all their zombified loved ones alive until a cure is found. Yeah, well, I wouldn't hold your breath. Needless to say, a gunfight breaks out, and afterward, Patrick ends up getting exiled from the island to avoid further conflict. Later on, the group led by the National Guard guy, which from now on I'm just going to call the group the Guardsmen. So the Guardsmen arrive to the island and end up in another shootout with Patrick and his family, where all his family pretty much get killed, like fucking Frank Castle style. And at some point during the fight, one of the guys, named Francisco, bit off a zombie's finger for some reason and became infected. So then, obviously, he gets put down. Why? Why would you bite the... You know what? Never mind. Fuck this movie. So Patrick finds out that his daughter Janet is still alive, and together with the Guardsmen, they have a standoff against the Muldoons. One of the Muldoons attempts to capture Patrick and Janet, and then fuckery occurs when zombies that the Muldoons captured get released and start eating everybody. Janet ends up getting bitten, and Patrick shoots her before she turns. And, just in the midst of it all, Patrick and the head of the Muldoon family shoot each other Western style, and both die. The Guardsmen then escape the island on a ferry as the zombified Patrick and Muldoon get up and attempt to kill each other yet again. The end. Well, Romero, you've done it again. Not to say this one was horrible, but yeah, can you just stop making movies? Alright guys, I'll see you on the next one. Happy Halloween! What's going on, guys? So, it's October Horrorfest, and I'm here to review Shaun of the Dead. but not how I normally do it this time, in song. Hit it! 1, 2, 3, 4. Shaun of the Dead, but Shaun is not dead. Shaun of the Dead, but his friends are dead though. Shaun of the Dead, there's zombies in London. Shaun of the Dead, we're drinking a pint of beer. What's up, guys? So today on the Horror Fest, let's talk about yet another one of the Dead movies. This one, however, isn't by George Romero. It's Shaun of the Dead, a zombie comedy by Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. Alright, well, the film opens up with Shaun, an electronics salesman in London. He's stuck in this boring routine. He goes to work, he gets bullied, he goes home, hangs with his friend Ed. Also, he's at odds with his stepfather, Philip, and just broke up with his girlfriend Liz. So things aren't all that great, really. He lives with his buddy Ed and another guy named Pete, who constantly yells at Shaun to get his shit together. The only outlet he really has is going to his favorite bar, the Winchester, for a nice cold pint. So the following day, the streets of London are overrun by zombies. How? We don't know, but they are. Shaun goes about his daily routine without even noticing, until a couple of them show up in their backyard. Pete's been bitten by what he describes as a mugger and turns. So, Shaun and Ed make a plan to save Shaun's mother and Liz and wait the whole thing out at the bar while enjoying some beer. Yeah, that's a nice pipe dream. They steal Pete's car and rescue Barbara and, of course, Philip, who's been bitten. They then head to Liz's place to pick her up and are stuck also saving her roommates, David and Diane. It's here that Philip and Shaun share a touching moment before he finally gives into his wounds and turns into a zombie. Then they abandon Pete's car and attempt to make it to the bar on foot, mimicking the zombie's movements. Which actually works for some reason, I'm not sure why. And then once at the bar, Barbara admits that she was bitten too, and turns. David tries to shoot her, but is stopped by Shaun. This causes a huge argument within the group, ending with Shaun accusing David of being in love with Liz, and a bunch of bullshit. But the drama's cut short as Barbara has to be put down by Shaun. After failing to fortify the bar, zombies break in, and David and Diana are eaten. Ed willingly stays behind to fight so that Shaun and Liz can escape. And just as they make it outside, the army shows up and guns down the remaining zombies. Cut to 6 months later, Shaun and Liz are back together and living together. Civilization has somewhat returned to normal, with the leftover zombies being used as cheap labor or for amusement. Shaun then heads outside to play video games with Ed, who is now a zombie tied to a chair. The end. Well, if you haven't seen this one, I recommend it. It's very funny, and it's an instant zombie classic. Alright guys, well, on to the next one, I suppose. Welcome back to October Horrorfest, Season 3. Today, I'm reviewing Little Monsters. So, Dave is a washed-up musician who just went through a shitty breakup. He lives with his sister and her son, Felix. One day, as he's dropping Felix off at school, he meets Miss Caroline, Felix's teacher. And then he volunteers to chaperone a field trip to a farm so that he can get to know her a little bit better. On the day of the trip, Dave learns that children's TV personality, Teddy McGiggle, will be filming a show there the very same day. Oh, and that also, Miss Caroline is engaged. Bummer. Suddenly, a group of zombies break out of a nearby testing facility, and the farm gets overrun. The class attempts to hide out in the gift shop, but Teddy beat them to it and refuses to open the door. So Dave breaks in and beats the shit out of Teddy and lets the group in. Felix then begins to have a bad allergic reaction to some chips that he ate or something, and Miss Caroline treks all the way across the zombie-ridden field just to get his medicine. As this is going on, Teddy is trying to signal a military helicopter that is flying overhead when he falls off a roof. And later that night, Dave and Miss Caroline catch up, and he finds out that she isn't actually engaged at all. The next day, they learn that the military plans to bomb the farm and wipe out the zombies. So they have a plan to escape using Teddy's car. But Teddy double-crosses them and is then eaten. This leaves Dave stuck on top of the car as zombies surround it. And then as all hope is lost, Felix shows up dressed as fucking Darth Vader on a tractor and saves Dave, and then they rescue the others. As they finally drive to safety, the group learns that the zombies react to music Miss Caroline plays. And they get out just in time for the military to bomb the farm. Then, they're all taken into quarantine where they break into a Taylor Swift song. The end. You know, it was a cute little movie. You know, I love her. She's a great actress. And that fucking Teddy, though. Really. And this one doesn't really qualify as horror, but you know what? Fuck it. Alright, see you tomorrow, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome back to October Horrorfest. Today, I'll be taking a look at Zombieland. After a strain of mad cow disease passes on to people, the world is overrun by a zombie apocalypse, leaving everyone to survive in this new world where they only refer to themselves by the town they come from. Columbus is a college student who is trying to travel across the country to Ohio to see if his family has survived the zombie pandemic. He survived the past 2 months, since it all began by following a set of rules he put into place. He comes across Tallahassee, a roughneck guy who takes joy in killing zombies after one killed his dog. And he's out on a mission to find a Twinkie, since apparently they've become scarce. So Tallahassee agrees to let Columbus tag along. Later on in a grocery store, the two come across Wichita and her little sister, Little Rock, who seem to be in need of help. The girls eventually double-cross them and take their vehicle. Columbus and Tallahassee run back into them, though, before a shootout occurs, and they agree to work together to get to Pacific Playland, an amusement park that is allegedly free from infection. And after arriving in Hollywood, they end up at Bill Murray's mansion, where he's disguised as a zombie. As fate would have it, Columbus shoots him, thinking he's an actual zombie. And then, sadly, we learn that it wasn't Tallahassee's dog that got killed, but rather his young son, and that his never-ending search for Twinkies is due to it being something that they bonded over. Just as they all start to get along, Columbus and Tallahassee wake up the next day and realize the girls left yet again. So they track them to the amusement park, where they're stuck on a ride as zombies are drawn to them due to all the commotion. Yeah, it's real smart, turning on all the lights and sounds. Here I am, come get me! So they finally save the girls, and Tallahassee finds the last remaining Twinkie, which gets destroyed before he can even eat it. After that, they agree to stick together and leave the park. The end. So this one's a must-see. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I'm not a huge Jesse Eisenberg fan, though, but you should still see it. Alrighty then, I'll see you later for the sequel. Hello, and welcome back to the Horrorfest. This time we're checking out Zombieland Double Tap, the long-awaited sequel to the hilarious zombie comedy. So 6 years after the events of the first film, the group has taken refuge in the White House and have basically become experts in identifying different types of zombies. Columbus and Wichita are dating, and Tallahassee has become a father figure to Little Rock. However, one morning, the boys wake up to the girls gone yet again. Surprise. This time, it's due to Little Rock wanting to find someone her own age. You damn teens. So then, a month later, Columbus runs into Madison, a ditzy blonde hiding out in a freezer in the mall, and has her join the duo. Suddenly, though, Wichita returns, saying that Little Rock has met a pacifist named Berkeley, and they ditched her to head to a place called Babylon in Graceland. So naturally, they head there. When they're on the road, Madison starts to show weird signs of infection and is put down by Columbus. Aww, too soon. The group arrives in Graceland and goes to a local Elvis-themed motel ran by Nevada, who tells them that Berkeley took Little Rock to Babylon, which apparently is a hippie commune. Oh, that's great. The group's introduced to Albuquerque and Flagstaff, who are basically clones of Tallahassee and Columbus, like, to the T. And after they're attacked by a group of T-800s, which is like a more advanced zombie, they get infected and are quickly put down in a fight. As they head to Babylon, the group meets back up with Madison, who apparently didn't become a zombie, but had a really bad allergic reaction to peanuts. Yeah, because that's really similar. Oh, I guess this means Columbus didn't shoot her. What a bitch. But anyway, at Babylon, the group has all their weapons melted down because everyone there doesn't believe in violence. So basically, if zombies attack, they're just gonna fucking die. And if you give them your gun to melt down, they give you a cool little pendant, so there's that. They find Little Rock just as zombies overrun the compound due to some nosy-ass fireworks, and Tallahassee uses himself as bait to lure them all off the side of the building. After that, Tallahassee gets rescued, Little Rock breaks it off with Berkeley, and they all decide to leave together as a group, now joined by Nevada. The end. Well, this one was good. Was it as good as the first one? Eh. Anyway, join me tomorrow for more Horrorfest. See ya! On today's episode of October Horrorfest, I'll be taking a look at the film adaptation for Dead Rising, with Dead Rising: WATCHTOWER. This one stars Jesse Metcalfe and Virginia Madsen.
I hear you looking for Candyman, bitch.
And is set between the events of Dead Rising 2 and 3. So, in the town of East Mission, Oregon, reporter Chase Carter and his camerawoman Jordan are covering the stories of people inside the quarantined city, which is ran by FISA, an organization attempting to contain a zombie outbreak. All throughout the quarantine zone, an antiviral drug called Zombrex is being administered to those who have been infected. The drug really can only hold back the outbreak for so long, as those infected must take it regularly. When this fails to happen, though, another outbreak occurs within the walls of the town, and it's quickly overrun. Chase, Jordan, and some others learn that the city is going to be bombed to purge it of infection, and they attempt to find a way out. Later on, they discover that the army is actually behind the outbreak, as they planted a bad batch of Zombrex in the zone so they could blame FISA for the outbreak, allowing the army to plant tracking chips in all the infected. Yep, there's always a motive. So Jordan planted evidence of the army's involvement in a vending machine for Chase to later find. But General Lyons, the Allstate guy, finds out that they know and captures them. After constructing some crazy-ass weapons, just like in the game, Chase and another survivor, Crystal, manage to escape the city before it's bombed. Chase takes Jordan's evidence and plans on exposing the army for their actions. The end. Well, for a Dead Rising movie, it's not bad. I mean, they mentioned Zombrex and had all the weapons from the game in there, so that's something. No clue what the hell happened to Jordan. I'm pretty sure she's still alive, but I don't know. And the Allstate guy. I guess the city wasn't really in good hands after all, was it? And I forgot, Frank West makes an appearance in this one, and it's fucking Rob Riggle. Pow-pow! Alright guys, tomorrow we can check out the sequel, so I'll see you then. Hello again, continuing the Horrorfest fun with Endgame. No, not Avengers, Dead Rising. This is the follow-up to Dead Rising: WATCHTOWER, where a group of survivors narrowly escape a zombie-ridden quarantine area after the army plants a bad batch of Zombrex, an antiviral drug, causing an outbreak. So as we left off, Chase now has proof that General Lyons and his crew planted the Zombrex. But of course, Chase's boss won't run the story. He's afraid Lyons will kill them all. Rightfully so. Lyons sends somebody to kill them all, and Chase narrowly escapes. After this, Chase builds a new team to battle Lyons. Enter Garth, a zombie killer and gamer. Rand, a scientist who has been experimenting on zombies, making them stronger and faster, for some reason. And of course, Sandra, Chase's on-again, off-again girlfriend, who's also a computer hacker. This guy George urges Chase and crew to head into another zombie-ridden city on a rescue mission. And they meet up with Jill, a news producer who joins them to infiltrate Phenotrans, the company who makes Zombrex. Once inside, they find out that Lyons worked with the CEO of Phenotrans, some chick named Susan, to cause the East Mission outbreak in the previous movie. She's planning to unleash a new virus, causing an even bigger outbreak. And once some of her employees learn of this, they disclose the information to Jill to expose her and her intentions. With that, Chase and gang stopped her plan, and General Lyons fled to who knows where. So, yep, he's still out there, gonna do some more fuckery. In the end, Chase learns that Jordan is still alive. Haha! I knew it! The end. Well, it's not bad. I mean, I wish we got a better conclusion because these Dead Rising movies are just kind of open-ended. And yeah, what the fuck is happening? Alright, guys. See you next time. Woohoo! Alright, you son of a bitch pile of monkey nuts. Today, on October Horrorfest, I'll be looking at 28 Days Later, a film about some people contracting rabies. I feel like this shit is imminent, really. I mean, if it were to happen in real life, zombies, I mean, this is probably the way. So, after a chimpanzee is freed from a lab by some asshole activists, an aggression-inducing virus called rage is spread all over Great Britain. It's basically rabies. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate that. The virus spreads quickly, resulting in the collapse of society. And then, 28 days later, haha, see what I did there? 28 days later, this guy Jim wakes up from a coma in a hospital, Rick Grimes style. He wanders around aimlessly, trying to figure out just what in the hell happened, as everything is pretty much in ruin, with no people in sight. Suddenly, Jim is attacked by some infected and is rescued by Selena and Mark. The group heads to Jim's parents' house to check on them, only to discover that they killed themselves. Sorry, Jim. Later on, Mark gets bitten and has to be put down before he turns. Jim and Selena then meet Frank and his daughter Hannah, who are held up in their apartment building. They tell them that the military has been sending out broadcasts and offers protection in Manchester. So the four of them head there in hope of safety. They arrive at the alleged location and find it deserted. And then out of nowhere, a crow drops infected blood into Frank's eye, causing him to turn almost immediately. As he turns, the soldiers show up and kill him. And then, Jim, Hannah, and Selena are taken to a fortified mansion where the soldiers are based out of. Once at the mansion, Major West reveals to Jim that the protection was bullshit, and that the broadcast was meant to bring women to the mansion so the soldiers could use them for sex. They're nice, I like. I'm just kidding, fuck these guys. I mean, they probably just want to repopulate the earth, but still, we're going with the thought of them just being creepy assholes. So after Jim disagrees with their plan, they try to kill him, but he gets away. And then, Jim does some Home Alone type fuckery and releases an infected soldier they had captive. Basically killing off the soldiers. The ones who didn't get attacked by the infected soldier get put down even more brutally. One guy gets his head bashed into a wall, and then another guy gets his eyes gouged out. So the soldiers are getting bested by a regular Joe. Jim then rescues the girls, and they attempt to escape, but Wes catches up to them and shoots Jim. Then, Wes gets attacked by the infected soldier. Haha! Revenge! 28 days later, again, Jim is now recovering in an area where the infected are shown starving to death. After an aircraft whizzes by, the three run outside to attempt to signal the pilot. Luckily, the pilot sees them, and they get rescued. The end. I really like this one. I mean, despite Cillian Murphy, whatever, being naked pretty much throughout the entire first half of the movie, the infected were intense, and yeah, like I said, I believe if zombies really happened, it would be something like this. A virus. COVID! That mutates and changes people into zombies. And when Frank got the blood in his eye, oh, that's a phobia for sure. I'm sure that's how it would happen. Alrighty, guys. I'll see you next time on the sequel. Bye-bye. What's up, guys? So today, on October Horrorfest, I'm reviewing 28 Weeks Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later, and the prequel to 28 Months Later. I'm just kidding. I don't think that's a thing. Not yet, anyway. So to recap, some activist assholes freed a caged chimp in Great Britain, which actually was infected, resulting in the spread of the rage virus, turning citizens into zombies. Well, they're not really zombies, but just crazy infected. Anyway, so back in the beginning of the outbreak, this guy Don and his wife were hiding out in a house in London when this little kid shows up seeking shelter. They let him in, but of course, he brings a horde of infected with him. They quickly dispose of the survivors, leaving Dawn, his wife, and the kid upstairs. And when she refuses to give up the kid, Dawn abandons them and gets the hell out of there. I mean, yeah, who wouldn't? So now, back to modern time, the infected have all started dying off from starvation. NATO moved in and took control of the outbreak. Then, an American unit under the command of Idris Elba shows up and brings in survivors, including Dawn's 2 kids, to a quarantine zone. Sergeant Doyle was sent to guard the district where the survivors are. And shortly after, Dawn shows up, being found by the army. Later that night, Andy, who's Dawn's son, misses his mom so bad that the 2 kids sneak out and go back to their house where they find their mom basically uninfected. So they take the mom back to the quarantine zone, and it's found out that she's an asymptomatic carrier of the rage virus, which means she shows no symptoms. Later on, Dawn does some fuckery and goes to see Alice and begs for forgiveness for leaving her behind. She accepts his apology and asks for a kiss, and when he does, the stupid dummy contracts the rage virus and immediately turns. She's asymptomatic, dude. It doesn't mean she's cured. Fucking idiot. Gosh. Anyway, so he promptly beats her to death and then runs around the area infecting everybody. General Stone, which is Idris Elba, by the way, orders a code red for the zone and they go into lockdown. But despite this, Dawn still manages to break into a room full of survivors and damn near infects every last one of them. Come on, Dawn. Seriously, bro? So then, of course, the infected within the zone breach it and head out into the streets. Scarlet, who's a medical officer with the army, finds and rescues Dawn's kids, as I guess the army ordered for them to be shot. So she goes AWOL, and then Doyle joins them, and they escape through an underground tunnel. Then, Stone orders the zone to be bombed. And as you would expect, as the area gets destroyed, Dawn still makes it out. Dawn's like invincible, man, I swear. This fucking guy. So the kids hold the key to the cure of the rage virus because of their DNA, and their mom being asymptomatic. So Scarlet wants to get them to safety by any means necessary. Doyle's friend, Flynn, shows up with a helicopter, but he won't let them on out of fear of them being shot down. Then, this guy Sam, who's just a random guy in their group, he's also infected, by the way. He tries to get on the helicopter, and then Flynn freaks out and just abandons them there. But not before telling Doyle to ditch the others and head to Wembley Stadium so he can pick them up. By himself. So the army then releases a nerve gas throughout the area to kill off the infected, and Doyle and crew are almost caught up in it. They try to escape in a car, but it won't start, so Doyle sacrifices himself by push-starting the car, and then is burned alive by a flamethrower. So I guess the army carries around flamethrowers now? Scarlet and the kids make it back underground, where they're confronted by Dawn. Damn it, Dawn, not again. He kills Scarlet and bites his son Andy, and then his daughter, Tammy, shoots him. Finally, fuck this guy. The kids escape and meet Flynn at the stadium, who flies them to France. Yeah, but the kid's infected. What are you doing? 28 days later... Hey, I did it again. 28 days later, Flynn's helicopter is shown abandoned as a voice on the radio requests help. Then we see infected running near the Eiffel Tower, indicating that the infection spread even more so. Yeah, you took an infected child to France, you stupid asshole. The end. So this one I thought was a lot better than the previous one. I mean, there's not a naked Cillian Murphy running around, but I guess it'll have to do. No, I mean, Jeremy Renner and Rose Byrne were great in this, and Idris Elba. It's actually the first time I remember seeing Renner in any film, really. And then that fucking Dawn guy. Dude, that guy was the cause of all this shit. Seriously. First he left his wife to die, then after she's infected he makes out with her, like a fucking asshole, and then he spreads the infection all over the damn world. Fucking Dawn. Alright guys, see you tomorrow. What's up guys? Welcome back to October Horrorfest. Today, I'll be checking out an indie film called I, Zombie by Andrew Parkinson. It's basically like a documentary about a guy turning into a zombie. So the film starts with a botanist named Mark who neglects his girlfriend Sarah to go wandering around the woods collecting moss. Moss? Like, really, bro? I mean, he may be a botanist, but I'm not really sure. He's just like a scientist of some kind collecting moss. I don't know. Anyway, so he stumbles upon like a rusted station wagon, and then he happens upon a derelict house in the middle of the woods with a creepy dude inside. Just then, he notices a woman having a seizure on a dirty-ass mattress, and he attempts to rescue her. Almost immediately, though, the crazy chick bites him in the neck, and then rightfully so, Mark just drops that hoe and gets the hell out of there. Well, yeah, Mark, maybe you shouldn't have been wandering around a sketchy house in the first place. So then, Sarah reports him missing for about like 3 weeks. And to be honest, he doesn't even remember where he's been either, so yeah. He does, however, remember killing a random guy in the woods, so there's that. And then with that being said, he opts to get a new apartment rather than go back home. I mean, good call. Although, the hospital doesn't seem like such a bad idea either, but what the hell do I know? Mark notices that the bite on his neck hasn't healed at all, but has actually gotten worse. And he now has a desire to kill. He starts to record the whole experience using an audio diary. And after another victim, Mark pretty much just comes to terms with what's happening, and then he kills and eats another person. And it's pretty much become like a routine at this point. This time, though, while he's disposing of the body, his leg just completely breaks, and then he reattaches it with a metal rod. I mean, yeah, that's practical, I guess. And let me just say, there's a random scene in here where he like misses Sarah, and he has like all these like weird photos of her. And I guess she's been seeing a new guy or whatever, so she's moved on. But yeah, he misses her, so he tries to like jerk off, and then he ends up ripping his dick off, and yeah, that's a true story. That happened. So from here, he just starts to like deteriorate really fast until he's pretty much a zombie. And with a little bit of sanity left, he decides to overdose on chloroform. I mean, that's pretty much how he's been disposing of all these people throughout the movie. He's just been like shoving a fucking rag in their face, and so now he's just gonna like huff it. And then, in the closing of the film, we just see some random interviews from like Sarah and some other people about Mark. So I guess they tried to make it look like a documentary. I mean, they kind of pulled it off. For what it is, though, it's not a horrible one. Apparently, though, this film took a year to film, and the guy, Andrew, whatever, he burned a lot of bridges making the movie because he had to do like a lot of last-minute reshoots, and I guess he pissed a bunch of people off, but, great movie film. Alright guys, well, I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome back to the Horror Fest. Today, I'm checking out World War Z, the film adaptation of the popular novel. So, Jerry Lane, who is a former UN agent, is driving with his family when the city becomes overrun by zombies. The family takes refuge in an apartment building, where they meet another family, who end up getting infected, of course. As Jerry is left to take care of their young son, the Lanes are taken by helicopter to a Navy vessel, thanks to Jerry's old friend, where he is then enlisted to help find a cure for what's now being called a virus. A SEAL team escorts Jerry and a scientist named Andrew to Camp Humphreys, where Jerry learns that the virus was brought there by a doctor. Then, they're summoned to a safe zone in Jerusalem. Suddenly, as Andrew boards the helicopter to leave, he slips and misfires his gun, killing himself. Just great. As Jerry's being shown around the city, refugees begin singing very loudly, attracting all the zombies to the compound. Oh, that's alright. They're safe. Aren't they? Nope. The zombies immediately start forming a human pyramid and scale the tall-ass walls right into the compound. And within minutes, they're overrun. Thanks, assholes. I hope your kumbaya was worth it. Jerry notices the zombies completely avoiding a sickly old man for whatever reason. And then he and a soldier named Segan are the only two to make it out alive, as they both head to a WHO facility on a plane, which of course becomes overrun as well. Damn, Jerry. He blows the plane up with a grenade, and then they make it to the facility in one piece. Somehow. He explains to the scientists what he saw in Jerusalem, and suggests they all inject themselves with deadly diseases to hide from the zombies. Wait, what? Yeah, you know what's better than becoming a zombie? AIDS. The only problem is that the diseases are all locked in a certain part of the lab that's overrun. So Jerry and Segan fight their way to the area, and then Jerry ends up getting locked inside a room that's holding the diseases. As his only way out is blocked by a zombie, he's forced to inject himself with what I think was like tuberculosis or something, and ta-da! The zombie now gives 0 fucks. But also, you're gonna die, so yeah. After that, Jerry heads to Nova Scotia to reunite with his family as a cure is created, allowing people to fight back against the zombies. So what, now everybody has like some sort of disease? I don't know. The end. Well, it was pretty intense, but I definitely wouldn't inject myself with a disease just so I can be invisible to zombies. Like, fuck that. Why not just stab them in the head? I mean, Rick Grimes did it. Did Rick Grimes give himself AIDS? No. Anyway, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to October Horrorfest. Today, I'll be checking out Resident Evil Degeneration, the first of 3 CG films in the series. So, at Harvardville Airport, Claire Redfield's coming back from a TerraSave mission with a little girl named Ronnie. Just as Ronnie reunites with her aunt, Senator Davis, who has conflicting views of TerraSave, goes hurrying by, trying not to be seen. He quickly gets outed, though, when a zombie stumbles up to him. I'm just kidding, it's not a zombie, just some asshole in a costume. Quickly, the guy gets detained and everything goes back to normal. That is, until real zombies appear out of fucking nowhere, and then a plane crashes through the terminal, causing more fuckery. Before they know it, Claire, the senator, and some others are all confined to a lounge while the airport is overrun. By nightfall, the army arrives with the SRT, a special unit sent in to rescue survivors. The team consists of Greg and Angela, and of course, they're led by Leon. Leon and the others are able to locate Claire and the gang and attempt to get them out. But Greg gets too cocky and ends up getting bitten. Therefore, his ass gets left behind. Yeah, rightfully so. They get surrounded as more zombies show up, and Claire showcases her badassery to kill them off. Once outside, some trucks pull up carrying the vaccine for the T-virus, which is apparently what caused the outbreak. And then suddenly, the trucks explode. Claire accompanies a scientist at the scene named Frederick Downing to his research facility, where he tells her he plans on making a vaccine for the G-virus, meaning that this fucking guy has the G-virus somewhere in there. Then Downing just fucking disappears. Suddenly, some guy enters the facility, and it just blows the fuck up. Damn, everything's getting blown up, man. So the man who entered the facility is Dr. Curtis Miller, brother of Angela. So he willingly injects himself with the G-virus to expose Wolf Pharma, the corporation he blames for the outbreak. A group of soldiers then attempt to stop him, only to get quickly massacred. Well, yeah, I mean, come on. And then it's all up to Leon, as per usual. The facility detects a biohazard and begins a failsafe to prevent the spread of the infection, which means the floors all drop out into a deep abyss, because logic. Leon dodges Curtis as one by one the floors fall into the abyss. And just like Birkin did with Sherry, Curtis sees Angela as a mate to breed with and relentlessly pursues her. After a long battle, Curtis gets shot in the head and falls to his death as the facility comes crashing down. Sometime later, Leon reunites with Angela, and Claire blames Davis for the outbreak, only for Leon to reveal that it was actually Downing behind everything. He was a former Umbrella researcher who stole both the T-virus and G-virus for personal gain. He is then apprehended as he tries to sell the virus. Davis is found dead, murdered by Tricell, another pharmaceutical company, as they plan to take over Wolf Pharma and recover the G-virus from Curtis's body. The end. So, this obviously bridges the gap between Resident Evil 4 and 5. Because as you know, we're introduced to Tricell in Part 5. It's a shame we don't see Angela again after this. I mean, she's pretty fucking hot.
I believe you can get me through the night.
But anyway, stay tuned for another adventure when Leon heads to another country to fight lickers. See you then! What's up, guys? Welcome back to October Horrorfest. Today I'll be continuing the Resident Evil CG series with Damnation. This time, Leon heads over to the Eastern Slav Republic to deal with yet another outbreak. The country is in the midst of a civil war, and someone brought BOWs to the party. Alright, so once there, the government orders a retreat of all US forces in the country, and Leon, of course, ignores this and ends up in some basement tied to a chair after his contact is found mauled by a licker. He then runs into JD and Buddy, a couple of rebel fighters, and their leader Ivan, who are on the opposing side of the president in the war. Meanwhile, President Svetlana Bilikova meets with Ada, who of course is posing as BSAA. She explains that the virus is being used in the war, which I guess this time isn't the T-virus, but Las Plagas. And apparently now it gives the infected person control over lesser BOWs, meaning whoever's infected could control like lickers or something like that. So, needless to say, Belikova pretty much calls bullshit on Ada. A shootout breaks out between the rebels and the Eastern Slav army, which ends up with Ivan getting killed. And later on, JD tells Leon that Buddy has a vendetta against the government for bombing the school he worked at, killing his wife and students, and that he needs to be stopped. Yeah, this guy does seem kind of shady. Then, unfortunately, JD succumbs to the Plaga and is killed. Great, so yeah, Las Plagas is still a thing. Leon learns that Ada is in the country and that she's been captured after a fight with Belikova. It was a pretty decent fight, actually. So, she gets freed, and then Leon and Ada end up in an underground facility where they're cut off by Belikova and her army. With Leon and Ada surrounded, Buddy shows up and uses lickers to take out most of her soldiers. Then, Belikova releases 2 tyrants after Leon and Buddy. The chase leads them to the streets as one of the tyrants gets taken out by a tank. And then, a 3rd tyrant shows up, but before it can attack, they're all robocopped by an Air Force jet. After that, at a press conference between US and Russia, Belikova is forced to resign as president. It's revealed that the Plaga attached to Buddy's spine is what allows him to control lickers. Yeah, we just covered that. And before it fully takes control, he asks Leon to kill him. Leon, of course, refuses, but he shoots Buddy in the spine anyway, killing the Plaga, but it leaves him paralyzed. Hey man, you're still alive, so whatever. At the end, Ada is talking to her employer, which I'm guessing is Wesker, but I don't know. And apparently she stole a sample of the Plaga for her own devious intentions. But we'll never know what those are. Alright, there you go. I can't say that it was better than the other one, but the plot was pretty good. And, Buddy controlling the lickers was cool. I did not like the design of the tyrants, though. That was pretty stupid. Alrighty, guys. Well, next time I'll be checking out Vendetta. So, stay tuned. What's up, everyone? Today on the Horrorfest, I'll be checking out the 3rd CG Resident Evil film, Vendetta. This one takes place in between Resident Evil 6 and 7, and has both Leon and Chris. Yay! Alright, so it starts off with Chris and the BSAA tracking Glenn Arias, a former CIA operative wanted by the FBI for doing some shady dealings. Arias has a vendetta. Oh, see what I did there? He has a vendetta against the US government because they killed his family, Frank Castle style, at his wedding during a drone strike. So the BSAA heads to a mansion in Mexico to rescue an undercover agent, and they're attacked by zombies, with Chris being the only survivor. As he's about to leave, Chris is attacked by Arias, who reveals that the zombies are all under his control. 4 months later, we meet back up with Rebecca Chambers, who's now a professor studying a new virus called the A virus, which lays dormant in a person until a trigger is presented. Suddenly, the lab she's in is attacked by Arias' assistant, Maria, who releases the A virus in an aerosol form throughout the facility. Rebecca quickly makes a vaccine for herself and then is rescued by Chris, who tells her about Arias. Rebecca tells Chris that the way Arias controls the zombies is similar to the Las Plagas parasite, used by the Los Illuminados cult from Resident Evil 4. And so they head to Colorado to find Leon, because he dealt with them directly. So they find a drunk Leon in a bar who seems to have given up after the events of Resident Evil 4. He's just a drunk has-been at this point. Just as they get him on board to help, Maria and her father Diego show up and attack them. Diego being some new type of BOW. So, during the firefight, the duo kidnap Rebecca, and then Chris and Leon team up to go after her. They uncover Arias' plan to release the virus in New York, infecting everyone, and that he also intends on making Rebecca his wife, since she resembles the one who died.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Because he's a lonely asshole. He develops a new strain of the A virus and injects it into Rebecca, and just then, Chris and Leon show up to stop him. Maria sends out tankers throughout the streets of New York, releasing the virus in aerosol form. But Leon and a new BSAA team are able to destroy the tankers before it's too late. Although, most of New York still gets fucked anyway. Chris and Leon infiltrate Arias' safe house and take down Diego. They free Rebecca and try to escape, but are cut off by Arias. He and Chris engage in another fight, ending with Arias falling to his death. And just when you think it's over, Arias merges with Diego and forms a new kind of tyrant. As a BSA helicopter flies by, the Arias tyrant jumps onto it, and before he can do too much damage, Leon takes him out with a grenade launcher. They manage to give Rebecca the antidote before it's too late, and then they escape on another helicopter. They release the antidote across the city, reversing the effects of the virus. Man, where the hell was this during Raccoon City? Seriously. Afterward, it shows Maria vowing to avenge Diego and Arias. The end. Well, this one was pretty good. I mean, Leon and Chris together, finally. I assumed they'd only ever use Leon for like these CG films, but seeing Chris was awesome. And the Tyrant was pretty cool too, not gonna lie. But the fact that it was like two dudes merged together, I don't know about that. It was good to see Rebecca again. I mean, she looks exactly the same as she did in Zero, so apparently she doesn't age. Alright guys, well I hope you enjoyed it, and with that, I'll see you on the next one. Howdy do, y'all. Today, for October Horrorfest, let's check out the remake of Night of the Living Dead from 1990. This one has Romero only as the screenwriter and horror legend Tom Savini directing. Not only that, but Tony Todd's in it, so yeah. It starts off the same as the original, with Barbara and her brother Johnny visiting their mother's grave at a cemetery. They're suddenly attacked by a zombie, and of course, Johnny gets killed. He's still a little bitch in this one, after all this time. So then, Barbara leaves that fucker for dead, and flees to a nearby farmhouse where she meets Ben. The two quickly start to board up the house to fortify, and shortly after, they find a group of survivors in the basement. A douchey guy named Harry, his wife Helen, who also have a daughter that's been bitten. And then there's two teens, Tom and Judy, who just can't seem to keep their fucking hands off each other. As Harry and Ben argue over what to do next, either wait in the basement or upstairs, Barbara suggests they leave the house, as the zombies are just too slow to catch up. Yeah, no, shut up, lady. So Harry and family go back down to the basement as the others hang upstairs and continue to board up the doors and windows. All this commotion draws more zombies to their location, because plot. So Ben devises a plan to have them all escape on his truck, but he has to refuel at a gas pump on the property first. So of course, as they head to the pump, Ben falls out of the back of the truck and is left fighting off a horde of zombies on his own. And to add salt to the wound, the gas pump key isn't even on the random keyring they found. For whatever reason, which I'm guessing is desperation, Tom decides to shoot the lock off the gas pump with a gun and blows himself and Judy all to hell. Great job, bro. You get a gold star. Ben heads back to the farmhouse to find everything has fallen to shit. Harry now has a gun, and their daughter, who is now a zombie, has bitten Helen. This results in a shootout between Ben and Harry, with both of them getting badly hurt. Helen and her daughter are quickly disposed of as Harry goes and hides in the attic. Ben then finds the gas key in the basement, where it was all along. Of course. So then Barbara says fuck it and leaves the house on her own. She runs into a group of vigilantes from town who are running around killing all the zombies. And then suddenly, she wakes up the following day with the sheriff, who apparently has taken control of the situation. So she goes back to the farmhouse and finds Ben, who is now a zombie. Ben is killed by the sheriff, and then Harry emerges from the attic, only to be shot dead by Barbara in a fit of rage. Yeah, because fuck that guy. She tells the sheriff that they have another one for the fire, as they drag all the bodies out of the house and put them on a giant pyre outside. The end. Well, it was definitely an improvement from the 1960s one. I mean, they did switch it up a bit by not killing Barbara off, and then how Ben turned into a zombie at the end. Also, I like how Harry was killed as a form of karma, because fuck that dude. Alright then, guys. Did you like this version? I mean, come on. Tony Todd, Tom Savini, what more is there to say? And with that, I'll see you next time. What it do, shawty? Today on the Horrorfest, I'm taking a look at the remake of Dawn of the Dead, with Mekhi Phifer, Ty Burrell, Ving Rhames, and a bunch of other people. It even has the dad from Chronicle. Aw man, no Ken Foree? So, after finishing a long shift at the hospital, a nurse named Anna returns home to her husband to have a lovely date night. They completely ignore an emergency broadcast on the TV and just enjoy their night. So, the following morning, they wake up to a little girl in their living room, which I guess is their neighbor. The girl bolts down the hallway and attacks Anna's husband, Louis, ripping his throat out. Oh shit. Should have probably paid attention to that broadcast. So, as the little girl is a zombie, Louis quickly becomes one as well and attacks Anna. She narrowly escapes through the bathroom and manages to drive away as the neighborhood is in chaos. She swerves to avoid hitting someone and loses control of the car, crashing it into a tree and passing out. Why? Why didn't you just hit him? Like, fuck it. Anyway, so when she wakes up, she meets a group of survivors led by a police officer named Kenneth. They all decide to go to the local mall for shelter, and encounter a lone zombie in the entrance who ends up biting Luda, the pregnant wife of Andre, which is one of the survivors. Then they try to enjoy the freedom of having the mall to themselves until they run into mall security. What a bunch of assholes. Except for this guy. I mean, he's okay. CJ, the head security guard, makes the group surrender their weapons in exchange for shelter and then locks them up in one of the stores. Eventually, thanks to Terry, the group overthrows CJ and Bart, who are the other guards, and they take back the mall for themselves. On the roof, Kenneth meets Andy, a gun shop owner who's stranded on his roof across the street. And then they start to kill the zombies off on the street below, one by one, but there's just way too many. The next day, a random truck shows up with more survivors. The group seems okay, except for this one. Why are you bringing her in there? Clearly she's, No, you know what? Never mind. You guys do you. So then, there's a montage of them living it up. They even just fuck each other out in the open. I mean, that's real nice. Just then, as I tried to warn, the fat chick reanimates as a zombie. Oh no, who would have guessed? She's quickly disposed of, though, but they realize that the infection passes through bites. Yeah, duh. So they kill this guy because he got bitten. The daughter, Nicole, tries to reason with them, but nah, they just kill that bitch. And you know who else got bit? Luda. But no one knows except for Andre. So they set up their own little spot in one of the stores and have been keeping away from the group. Meanwhile, Kenneth and Andy have been communicating using a whiteboard as they plan to rescue Andy so he can join their group. Then the power goes out in the mall. This forces a few of them to go down to the basement to fix it, where a bunch of zombies are waiting for them. They set the zombies on fire, but Bart gets killed in the process. Fuck 'em. Luda starts to give birth, but then turns into a zombie right before. And yes, I already know what you're thinking. The baby does come out as a zombie. Norma, who's the one that drove the truck there, has the unfortunate pleasure of seeing all this go down, and then she kills Luda, which causes Andre to pull a gun on her, and then they kill each other, Western style. So I guess they just left a zombie baby just chilling there, alone. Wonderful. Not long after that, the group finds the baby and kills it too. So, there you go. After this, they find out that Steve, one of the survivors, has a boat at the marina, and they decide to head there so they can take the boat to an island free of infection. Well, that just sounds like a pipe dream. They fortify a couple of buses and head out to rescue Andy before heading to the marina. So when they were in the basement fixing the power, they found a dog just chilling down there, and the girl Nicole took up with it because, yeah, they killed her dad. So anyway, their plan of rescuing Andy is to send this damn dog in there with supplies strapped to it. I mean, are you joking? Who made this damn plan? The dog's probably just gonna get eaten immediately. Nope, I guess not. The dog makes it safely into Andy's shop, but zombies do follow it in, and as to be expected, Andy goes MIA. Well, fuckery. Then Nicole freaks out and goes after the dog, getting trapped in the shop by a zombified Andy. Okay, who let this girl go over there? Seriously. The group goes far out of their way to rescue her, and then Kenneth puts Andy down. I would have just left her to die. I mean, maybe rescue the dog, but fuck that bitch. After this, they head back to the mall to stock up on ammo, but it gets overrun pretty quickly, so they have to leave on the buses and head to the marina. The group splits into two buses, and fuckery occurs. Zombies attack one of the buses, and then some guy's like holding a chainsaw, and it slips and cuts a girl nearly in half. It's fucked up. This causes the driver to lose control, and the bus flips. Amidst all the fuckery, Steve tries to abandon them and gets killed by a zombie. So Anna steals his boat key, and they head for the dock with a horde of zombies right behind them. CJ, the once douchey security guard, sacrifices himself and blows up him and a horde of zombies by shooting a propane tank. I guess he wasn't that bad after all. The remaining members of the group board the boat, but Michael, one of the original survivors, reveals that he's been bitten and opts to stay behind. So they drift away as Michael shoots himself. Oh, cool, he did it where everyone can see. Awesome. Eventually, they arrive at some random island and are quickly ambushed by a horde of zombies, leaving their fates unknown. The end. Well, this one was a great remake. It had action, excitement, sex, comedy, and a lot of fuckery. I think I like CJ the most. He had the biggest character development out of everyone. Andre was just a piece of shit, and Kenneth carried the movie, I think. Anna, well, she was just kind of there. Oh, and then there was a surprise cameo by Ken Foree. He was a preacher talking about end times. So it was a pretty cool movie. Anyway, I know this was a lengthy one, guys, so I'll see ya next time. Welcome back to October Horrorfest. Today I'm taking a look at the remake of Romero's Day of the Dead from 1985. But this one's from 2008. So, in Colorado, Trevor and his girlfriend Nina are doing the do when a zombie outbreak seems to occur. They run into a military roadblock and are introduced to Captain Rhodes, who's there with Corporal Sarah Cross, which is Trevor's sister. Sarah and Bud, one of the soldiers who's into Sarah, go to visit her sick friend Kyle, who seems to have similar symptoms to her mother. Ah, shit, did they get bitten? They got bitten, didn't they? When they get to Kyle's house, though, they find his parents mauled to death and Kyle missing. Gee, I wonder why. Then they head to the local hospital at the request of Captain Rhodes to meet up with Dr. Logan. As soon as they get there, all the infected patients in the lobby turn into zombies almost all at the same time, because fuckery. Apparently now, though, they have superpowers because they're crawling on the walls and shit. I mean, I don't know what's happening in these Romero films anymore. So Trevor escapes with Nina, leaving behind Dr. Logan, Sarah, and Bud, who get trapped in a storage room. Captain Rhodes tries to fight his way through the zombies, but immediately gets killed. So the trap group gets attacked by a now zombified Rhodes, and they escape through an air duct. And they almost manage to evade Rhodes, but he bites Bud's hand. Because she thinks she's helping, she pours bleach all over the bite. Bleach? What the hell? Do you want to make it hurt more? Like, what the fuck? Salazar, who's one of the soldiers in the group, shoots Rhodes in the head, and they escape out to the parking lot, which is completely overrun. As panic ensues, Dr. Logan pushes a non-infected girl into the path of some zombies as he's escaping. Oh well, thanks for that. Sarah, Bud, and Salazar find a military vehicle and get the hell out of there. They stop off at a gun store and leave Bud in the vehicle, and when they return, he's a zombie. Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of how that works. You get bitten and then you turn. But instead of killing him, Sarah keeps him alive and just ties him down. Yeah, no, that won't come back to bite you later. Haha, see what I did there? So Sarah hears a distress call on the radio from Trevor, who ended up at a radio station, and she heads there to save him. Really? Didn't he just leave you guys for dead in the hospital? Like, why? On the way there, Sarah smashes into her zombified mother, who's just out randomly roaming around for some reason. Once they're reunited, the group hides out in a warehouse, and they discover a nearby underground bunker, where they find Dr. Logan. Logan tells them that the zombies are a result of a government project gone wrong. They were developing a bioweapon called Wildfire that would temporarily shut down the enemy's nervous system, but instead, it just turned everyone into zombies, of course. So another doctor, Dr. Engel, pops out and kills Logan, and during this, Sarah, Trevor, and Nina devise a plan to blow up the zombies, who have now entered the bunker. Engel, who's now a zombie, drops down from the ceiling and tries to bite Sarah. And this next part I'm not too sure about. So, before Sarah gets bitten, Bud shoots at Engel. Yeah, that's what I said. They're pulling that shit they did in the original with the zombie bub, but now it's Bud. Really? Really, guys? So Bud then quickly gets dismembered by Engel and the other zombies as Sarah torches them with a homemade flamethrower. In the closing of the film, Sarah, Trevor, and Nina make it out alive and drive away. The end. Well, this one was okay, I guess. I mean, it had a lot of celebrities in it. Fucking Nick Cannon. Seriously. Actually, Ving Rhames was in it, and he played Kenneth Rhodes. Remember when he was in Dawn of the Dead? What was his name in that one? Oh yeah, Kenneth Rhodes. But he wasn't military, he was a cop. Is there a connection? We don't know. Anyway, guys, join me on the next episode, and I'll see you then. Hey, 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 hey! What's up, people? So today, on October Horrorfest, I'll be bringing you yet another Night of the Living Dead. I know, you just can't get enough of them. I'm not even joking. This one's the prequel to Night of the Living Dead 3D. In this one, though, the mortician, Gerald, isn't played by Sid Haig. Which sucks, but it's whatever. Anyway, so Gerald inherits the family mortuary and accidentally exposes hundreds of bodies to toxic waste. Yeah, I don't really think that's how it works, but it's a Romero film, so yeah. So as this is going on, Gerald's younger brother shows up right as Gerald's trying to contain the zombies, and he's looking for his share of the inheritance from their father's passing. Shit really hits the fan, though, when younger brother Harold finds out that Gerald has been keeping their father locked away, who of course is now a zombie. Then throughout the movie they pretty much bicker back and forth, and then the mortuary staff is busy getting high the whole time and gives like zero fucks about anything. Honestly, I mean, this is a parody, but it's almost just as bad as the storyline of like a porn. It's like to that level. Anyway, so then we're introduced to Sister Sarah, which is a Sarah Palin knockoff, who's a reporter for what I'm guessing is supposed to be Fox News. The film just gets worse and worse from there. Obviously, Gerald survives the movie and goes on to be in Night of the Living Dead 3D. But that time he's played by Sid Haig, so at least we have that. There's not really much more to tell. I mean, it's just blah. If you see it in the $5 bin, then maybe pick it up if you want to like throw $5 away, but aside from that, I wouldn't even worry about it. I mean, yeah, there are zombies and pretty much the staff all gets killed, aside from fucking Gerald, who goes on to the next movie. So yeah. Next time, I'll be checking out the sequel, Night of the Living Dead 3D. Why? Just why? Howdy do, y'all. Back with some Horrorfest fun. Today we're looking at yet another Night of the Living Dead. And this one's in 3D. Calm down, calm down. It's not in 3D for you. That's just the title. Anyway, so this one's from 2006 and stars Sid Haig. Yep, Captain Spaulding. So honestly, how many times are they gonna remake this shit? Really? I'll probably be reviewing like at least 15 other Night of the Living Deads, so just sit tight. Anyway, so this one starts off with Barb and her brother Johnny at the cemetery as per usual. But this time, the cemetery is overrun with zombies, and Johnny just straight up leaves her ass there. So after that, Barb finds an abandoned farmhouse where she meets Ben, a local college student hiding out from the zombies. The two seek refuge in the farmhouse, which in this version is owned by the Coopers, Henry and Helly. Really? Helly? Couldn't just call her Helen? I mean, come on. And then there's also their daughter Karen, a farmhand named Owen, and of course, Tom and Judy. So apparently there's like this new guy named Gerald who's a mortician, I guess. And yeah, so with Tom and Judy's PDA reaching a whole new level, they're attacked by zombies while fucking in a nearby barn. The others try to save them, but I mean, come on. You know they didn't make it. A bit later on, they find Karen, who's now a zombie. Surprise. Ben tries to shoot her, and Henry stops him. And with his back to her, Karen bites Henry, and then gets shot by Ben anyway. Owen the farmhand also turns into a zombie and attacks Ben, and is killed with a shovel by Gerald, who was just out murking zombies in the front yard. Henry and his wife stay behind, and Barb and Ben leave with Gerald to drive to his house, as they fear the farmhouse will soon be overrun. With their daughter dead and Henry not too far behind, the family decides to kill themselves. Well, whatever. Fuck 'em. Barb, Ben, and Gerald then reach Gerald's house, and he knocks out Ben and puts him in the trunk. Haha! Fuckery! He then chases Barb into his house, where she finds out not only is his father a zombie, but he's been feeding him the whole time. And not just that, but Gerald's the one who reanimated all the zombies in the first place. So then, Barb sets Zombie Dad on fire, and apparently Gerald has like a phobia of fire because he can't even get near him to put it out. He then grabs Barb and takes her to his mortuary, where he plans on zombifying her. After a brief altercation, she manages to push Gerald into a horde of zombies, and then meets back up with Ben, who's now out of the trunk somehow. But I guess during his time in the trunk, he was impaled with a tire iron, and then he turns into a zombie. Then Barb uses the last bullet in a gun she finds to kill him before he zombifies, right before a bunch of zombies show up and presumably kill her. I mean, we don't know. The end. Well, like I said, it was just like any variation of this movie. I mean, there's no Tony Todd, but they did have Sid Haig, and he was like the hidden bad guy the whole time. I liked how they maintained Tom and Judy's annoying-ass PDA, but stepped it up a notch. Why not just fuck in a barn? Also, how Gerald was responsible for the zombie outbreak, and I'm guessing that's going to get explored in, like, the prequel. So, yeah. So there's some differences I liked about this one, but anyway, join me tomorrow as we look at yet another Night of the Living Dead. Oh, I know you're excited for that. See ya. Hello there! Welcome to October Horrorfest. So today I have yet another Night of the Living Dead. I know, I'm sorry. This one is called Resurrection, and it's from 2013 or so. And I think it may be a British film, but I don't really know. So get ready for more of the same. So this one starts off with these punk kids who harass a guy to buy them alcohol. So the guy gives in and goes into the store, only to get bitten and turn into a zombie. Then, as the zombie heads back over to the punks, a random guy shows up to warn them. Which, of course, is Ben. Again, he's no Tony Todd, but yeah. Ben was on his way through town to meet up with his friend Babs. Really? I think you mean Barb, but whatever. So he's low on gas and stops at a local farmhouse to refuel, because that's apparently what you do. He snoops around for a minute looking for help, when the barrel of a shotgun sticks out of the mail slot on the door and shoots Ben point blank in the head. Wait, huh? This is only like 20 minutes into the movie. Okay, so then you're introduced to the actual protagonists of the film, these random people that live in the farmhouse. So there's this guy who shot Ben, who's the husband of a pregnant chick, who apparently is sleeping with her sister. Long story short, this family sucks. So they sit around for half the movie just babbling about how the world is over and yada yada. Who gives a shit? Even the zombies seem bored in this one. They don't even attack really, they just kind of stand there. So a few people get bitten after a while and get locked in various rooms in the farmhouse, which all have locks on the outside of the doors for some reason. Eventually, the punk kids find the farmhouse and attack it. And I'm guessing they're going with the whole humans are more dangerous than zombies thing, kind of like Walking Dead. Anyway, so from here it just gets even worse. Apparently, a member of the family gets bitten, but it doesn't get shown, and yeah, I don't even know. A lot of the kills happen off camera. Ultimately, they all die, I guess. It's really hard to say. The ending is very vague, but yeah, then they have the audacity to announce that they're making a sequel called Night of the Living Dead Revelations, which I haven't really heard of, and I don't think it's out yet. But who in their right mind would even fund something like that? Is this like a student film, or what? Okay, look, it started off alright, being like a modern twist on a classic, but once Ben gets shot like 20 minutes in, it turns into a shit show. And not to mention, we never even see Barb or Babs or whatever the fuck they called her in this one. Overall, this movie gets a big old poop. Shame on you. Now go stand in the corner. Alright guys, see you tomorrow. What's up guys? So today, for October Horrorfest, I'll be taking a look at Train to Busan, the Korean zombie film from Netflix. So, a chemical leak at a biotech facility results in the start of a zombie apocalypse. The pandemic quickly overtakes South Korea. Then, we meet Suk-woo, who's a bit of a workaholic. It's his daughter's birthday, and she wants to spend it with her mother in Busan. So then, he gives her a Wii for her birthday, and she's not impressed, because she already has one. Come on, man, you had one job. One job, Dad. I mean, shit, if she doesn't want it, I'll take it. Suk-woo then thinks about a recital that he missed of hers, and feels guilty that he's a shit father. So then, he gets her on an earlier train to Busan. They board the train, which is packed with passengers, and just as they're leaving, an infected woman runs on board, which no one really seems to notice. Soon after, the woman turns into a zombie and attacks an attendant, and the infection spreads all over the train, converting most of the people into zombies. The survivors hide out in the front and rear cars of the train and try to stay hidden, as the zombies can't really detect what they can't see. And through a news report they hear on board, Suk-woo learns that the plant responsible for the pandemic is directly connected to his business. Go figure. The train stops at a station which is supposed to be secured by the South Korean army, but when the passengers enter the station, it's vacant. Suddenly, the soldiers, who are now zombies, charge the group. Most of the passengers get killed, but some make it back onto the train. Later, they arrive in Busan, which has been established as a quarantine zone. The group gets ambushed by some zombies who snuck on board. One of the passengers sacrifices themselves so that Suk-woo can get most of them to safety. Then there's like this one douchebag guy who has Suk-woo and some others locked into the front car of the train because he says they're all infected, and yeah. In the midst of this, zombies breach the train again and kill the remaining passengers that aren't with Suk-woo. The train is then forced to stop when they reach a part of the track that's blocked, and as they exit the train, the captain is pushed into a pack of zombies. Well, see, this is why they invented that single file rule. I mean, come on. Mass panic never really helped anyone. So they find a new train and continue on to Busan. Just then, the douchey guy who trapped Suk-woo and claimed he was infected is now infected himself and bites Suk-woo. Knowing that he'll soon turn, he says his goodbyes to his daughter and hurls himself off the train. The two remaining survivors, which are just this random girl and Suk-woo's daughter, reach Busan, but they have to walk the rest of the way due to the tunnel being blocked. As they reach the end of the tunnel, the two are almost taken out by military snipers until they hear the daughter singing a song. This is some song she used to sing with her dad, I guess. The soldiers then realize that the two of them are human and help them to safety. The end. Well, aside from the fact that I had to use subtitles, which I hate, it was a good movie. It had a lot of action and the pace was pretty good. I like the way the outbreak started, because, yeah, that's pretty realistic. Suk Woo, though, I mean, he meaned well, but he just sucked at being a dad. And then he tried to be the leader of the group, and look where that got him. He's not fucking Rick Grimes, man. Then, at the end, I'm glad they got rescued, but really, she's just gonna cry and sing this stupid song? Whatever. Alright, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Howdy do, y'all! Today on October Horrorfest, I'm taking a look at Zombie Apocalypse. Or, I think it's called 2012 Zombie Apocalypse. I don't really know. Anyway, so, in June of 2011, a virus is found in a woman in France called the VM2 virus. Suddenly, 83% of the population is infected, and then it becomes a global pandemic, nearly wiping out Japan, the Philippines, and most of the US. 6 months later, 3 survivors head to a small town to raid it for food and information regarding the outbreak. The 3 are Ramona, Billy, and Kevin. So they're scoping out a local auto shop when a horde of zombies attack and one bites Kevin. And then we're introduced to another group of survivors, Henry, Julian, Cassie, and Mac. Kevin then reanimates as a zombie and is quickly put down before the group decides to band together and head out. The group decides to go to Catalina, where there's an alleged survivor camp. On the way there, they come across a high school that's being used as a safe zone, but once inside, the place is completely abandoned. And then, suddenly, they're attacked yet again by zombies, and this time, Billy gets bitten. After putting Billy down, they head through a small neighborhood where more zombies show up. This is just a constant thing. All the time. As Mac is about to be overrun, a random guy shows up with a bow and arrow and takes Mac, Julian, and Ramona with him, leaving behind Henry and Cassie. So these archers introduce themselves to the group, and then agree to head to a ferry together that can take them to Catalina. Mac wants to head back to get the other 2 left behind, and when the archers decline, they split off and go their own way. The next day, on their way to the ferry, Julian stops to use a porta-potty and gets attacked and bitten. Dude, why? Why would you do that? Then, as the group gets overrun, yet again, Julian attempts to sacrifice himself as a distraction so the group can escape, but he turns before he can. As Henry and Cassie head for the dock to meet up with the others, they get trapped on a rooftop. Luckily, though, Mac and the others find them. What's left of the group makes it to the dock, only now to be attacked by an infected tiger. Who writes this shit? I mean, come on. Is this a Romero film? Is it? Oh, it's not? Well, it sounds like it. So then, Henry gets bitten and has to be put down by Cassie. Dude, she's like killing everybody. At the closing of the film, the remainder of the survivors wait on the dock for the ferry to arrive. The end. Well, I mean, it was entertaining, I guess. I mean, yeah, Ving Rhames was in it, so that's a thing. Alright, guys. I'll see you on the next one. On today's episode of October Horrorfest, I'll be reviewing The Dead Don't Die, a pretty okay zombie film starring Bill Murray and Adam Driver. Alright, so in a small rural town, police officers Cliff and Ronnie are responding to a call for Farmer Frank Miller, where they end up crossing paths with a weird hermit named Bob in the woods. Once back at the station, Cliff notices that it's still daylight even though it's nighttime, and that all the electronics have stopped working. As night finally arrives, 2 zombies appear at a local diner and kill 2 employees. Ronnie quickly blames zombies for the murders, even though none are around. And then a news report states that polar fracking has altered the Earth's rotation, leading to whatever is going on in town. What the hell is polar fracking? Anyway, so after Cliff and Ronnie find open graves at the cemetery, Ronnie teaches Cliff how to kill zombies, believing that now zombies are on the loose. So they bring weapons to the station and tell another officer, Mindy, about the zombies. Some zombies reanimate at the town's funeral home and are beheaded by the sword of a chick named Zelda. It's the ancient one from Doctor Strange, and she's equally as weird in this movie. So she meets up with Cliff and Ronnie at the station, and for whatever reason, they let her stay behind to watch the dispatch radio, as they leave to investigate further. So they just meet this weird chick and just immediately put her on the dispatch. That makes sense. They head to the cemetery again, where Mindy gets mauled by zombies. As things are looking pretty bad, Ronnie tells Cliff he knew it would end this way because he read the script, implying that they're self-aware of the film. It's a really random, fourth wall break, and I just don't know why they did it. Why? It's not funny. It's really not. So then, more zombies start to surround them, and Zelda shows up with a sword and starts kicking ass. Suddenly, out of nowhere, a UFO appears and beams her up, and they fly away. I knew something was off about her. Bob the Hermit watches from the woods as the fates of Cliff and Ronnie are left open-ended as they're swarmed by zombies. The end. That's not my favorite movie. The plot was kind of like, what the fuck? And the fourth wall break thing, it was just odd. And then the polar fracking, what the hell even is that? I don't know. I mean, I get this is a comedy, but at least, take the shit seriously and write a better script. It could have been a lot better. Aliens? Really? I don't know. I'll see you guys tomorrow. What's up, guys? So today, for October Horrorfest, I'll be checking out Alive, a Korean zombie film from Netflix. So, Junwoo, who's a YouTuber of some kind, is alone in his family's apartment when a disease breaks out in town, turning everybody into zombies. As chaos ensues outside, he opens the door to see what's going on, and a random guy bursts into his apartment. The guy asks to hide out inside, but then quickly turns and attacks Junwoo. He manages to push the zombie back out into the hall and locks the door. Suddenly, he gets a text from his parents telling him that they're safe, thankfully, and then he takes to YouTube to send out a rescue request. With the city overrun, his resources eventually run out, as does the internet. What food he does have left gets ruined when another zombie breaks through the front door and destroys the refrigerator he had blocking it. Wonderful. And just when it couldn't get any worse, as he's dehydrated from no water, his internet and phone signal get restored long enough for him to receive a voicemail of his family's final moments, as they probably are zombies by now. Great. And with this news, he tries to kill himself, but gets interrupted when Yu Ben, a survivor living in the building across the street, shines a laser pointer at him. They set up a zip line and she sends him more food. And then, she's nearly killed when a firefighter zombie scales the building and almost gets into her apartment. Before the zombie can, Yu Ben cuts his hands off and he falls off the balcony. After that, he sends a walkie over to her so they can communicate, and then Yu Ben knocks over a shelf, alerting a shit ton more zombies to her front door. With her apartment pretty much compromised, she gets the hell out of there and heads over to Jim's apartment. They devise a plan to head to the 8th floor of Junwoo's building, and then they fight their way up. On the way up, they're rescued by a random survivor who's offering food and water. And then all of a sudden, Junwoo passes out, as the survivor actually drugged him. Well, that's not sketchy at all. The survivor then locks Yu Ben in a bedroom with his zombified wife. He opens the door to check on them, and is attacked and bitten. Ha-ha! Karma, bitch. Yu Ben finds a gun and shoots them both, and then a helicopter passes by. The two of them then rush to the roof, chased by all the zombies that the gunshots attracted. And as they're about to get swarmed, the horde is taken out by a huge gun on the helicopter, and they're rescued. As the film comes to a close, a voiceover explains that wireless networks have all been restored in the area, and that the military has been rescuing people based off their social media posts. The end. To be fair, if this shit really did go down, this would be the closest to reality. I know I said that about 28 Days Later, but honestly this is pretty realistic too. The electricity overall would shut down, and yeah, phone signals and internet would just not be a thing anymore. It'd be a total blackout. Caveman style. It's surprising that they even made it out alive, really. Alright, well, that was pretty good. If you haven't seen it, head on over to Netflix and check it out. And I'll see ya tomorrow. Welcome back to the Horror Fest. Today, I'm taking a look at Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. No, it's not a Romero film this time, surprisingly. Anyway, so the film starts off with a military convoy carrying some sort of cargo from Area 51. Meanwhile, a car full of careless assholes is driving in the opposite direction, and of course, they meet head-on, causing a huge accident. The military vehicle carrying the cargo flips, and it's revealed that the cargo is a zombie. Despite orders to stay away from it, the soldiers get closer and ultimately all get bitten and turn. Then the zombies all head towards Las Vegas. We then get a pretty cool montage of the city being overrun and eventually quarantined. Cut to 6 years later, a former mercenary named Scott Ward is approached by Tanaka, a casino owner who wants Scott to go into the zombie-ridden city to recover $200 million he stored in a vault before the military nuke the city. Scott then recruits his friends Vandero and Cruz, and they devise a plan to head into the city. They also bring on a bunch of other people with various skills, offering them way less than what they probably deserve. I mean, they don't know there's $200 million at stake. One guy gets offered like $100 or something, I think. It's really fucked up. Anyway, so Tanaka sends his right hand, Martin, to accompany them to the casino. And then, at a local quarantine camp, we meet Kate, Scott's daughter, who's helping people in need. After a short and awkward family reunion, she directs the group to Lily, who's familiar with the city, and she agrees to go with them to navigate. So they encounter a zombie known as an alpha, which is basically like a smart zombie that retained intelligence. Lily tells them that they can sacrifice somebody as an offering to the alpha to gain safe passage in the city. Or, I mean, you could just kill the zombies. I'm just saying. So after a lot of fuckery, half the team gets killed, and they arrive at the casino. One of the guys, Dieter, gets to work opening the safe, while the others hold off the zombies. One of the sentient zombies, known as the Queen, gets beheaded by Martin, and he takes her head as a trophy. Zeus, which is the main zombie, finds her headless corpse and then calls all the other alphas to the casino to attack the group. After Cruz is killed off, Martin traps the group in the basement of the casino, stating that Tanaka now only cares about the Queen's head, as he wants to use it to make an army of alphas. What a douchebag. And then, in typical fashion, Martin's mauled to death by a zombie tiger. Hey, Siegfried and Roy style. Oh, too soon. Too soon. Dieter sacrifices himself to get Vandero into the safe, and at the same time, Scott, Lily, and the pilot, Peters, head to the roof to leave on a helicopter, where they're confronted by Zeus. Lily throws the Queen's head off the roof and is killed by Zeus. So then, they get in the helicopter and take off, and rescue Kate from the bottom of the casino, and they attempt to fly away when Zeus somehow miraculously jumps on board with them. They struggle for a bit, and then Scott accidentally shoots the pilot just as the nuke hits the city. The shockwave from the blast causes them to crash, and only Kate and Scott survive. Well, at least the Alpha's dead. Scott gives Kate the rest of the money that they recovered from the safe, and tells her that he's been bitten before he turns. Kate kills her dad, and then sadly waits as the rescue helicopter shows up. Then we see Vandero, who apparently survived the blast while he sat inside the vault. He takes all the money and rents a plane to leave the city. And then, just as he's living the high life, he realizes he too has been bitten. The end. Alright, well, another Snyder masterpiece. I mean, Batista was awesome in this one, and yeah, this is why Warner Brothers should have just let the Snyder Cut be, because Zack Snyder knows what he's doing. Give us that Nightmare film, guys. Come on. Anyway, so, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and, as always, I'll see you on the next one. Today, for the final episode of October Horrorfest, I'm checking out the long-awaited Halloween Kills, the sequel to 2018's Halloween. The film was put off for a whole year thanks to COVID, but alas, it's finally here. So the film opens up right where the previous one left off. Cameron's walking around looking for Oscar and Allison when he stumbles upon the body of Officer Hawkins, who somehow is still alive. Then, we go to a flashback of 1978, the night Michael was captured after committing the murders in the original film. A young Hawkins and his partner enter the Myers house searching for him, after he got up from being shot 6 times and fell off a balcony. I mean, for that much abuse, you'd think he would just be laying there, but we all know in the original one, he just got right back up. Anyway, so Hawkins' partner is quickly ambushed and Hawkins is forced to shoot. However, he misses Michael completely and shoots his partner in the neck, killing him. Michael then escapes right out the front door like nothing, but he's confronted by Dr. Loomis and the rest of Haddonfield Sheriff's Department, who then take him into custody. After that, we meet back up with Tommy Doyle and Lindsay Wallace, the kids who survived the original film, who are now all grown up. They're with Lonnie, who is Tommy's former bully, and Nurse Marion Chambers. And apparently they've all bonded over being survivors of Michael, and they all hang out together, I guess. So they're at this local bar celebrating Halloween on open mic night, when Tommy gets up and tells the story of what happened in 1978. Cut to Lori, Karen, and Allison leaving the burning house as the fire department shows up. Against Lori's plea, they go in to put the fire out, and they all get massacred pretty easily by Michael. I know a lot of people were wondering how he survived at the end of the last movie, but it's because he was hiding behind a metal gate in the basement. So anyway, the firefighter massacre hits the news, and the sheriff's department becomes aware of the events that happened in the previous film. Tommy and the others watch the report from the bar, and then Tommy organizes an angry mob to hunt Michael down. Meanwhile, Lori gets taken to Haddonfield Memorial, where she immediately goes into surgery. While out on patrol, Lindsay, Marion, and a couple that join them find Michael at a park, and he brutally kills Marion and the couple. This scene's crazy. Like, the guy gets a knife through the eye, and then the chick, goes to shoot Michael, but she's a terrible shot. So he kicks the door into her hand, and then she shoots herself. Marion just gets hung. It's crazy. Tommy shows up sometime later and rescues Lindsay, and they find the others laying there dead, wearing Silver Shamrock masks, which is a really nice callback to Part 3, but I feel bad for the kid that wore the skull mask. Back at the hospital, Lori finds out that Michael's still alive and tries to go after him, but is stopped by Karen. Then Tommy shows up and turns the whole waiting room at the hospital into another angry mob. And not long after, chaos ensues as Michael shows up at the hospital and the mob chases him upstairs. Only, it's not Michael. It's another escaped mental patient from the bus crash in the previous film. Anyway, despite the fact that the mob just can't be stopped, Karen acknowledges that it's not Michael and tries to go help the guy. But I guess he opts to smash a window out and jump to his death instead. Hey man, you do you. And just as things are getting worse, Allison, Cameron, and his dad Lonnie go to the Myers house, where they're confronted by Michael. Michael kills Cameron and his dad, and he's about to kill Allison when Karen shows up and impales him with a pitchfork. To add insult to injury, she curb stomps him too, and takes his mask. Michael then gets up, like nothing happened, and chases Karen outside, where he's ambushed by the angry mob, led by Tommy. This scene's really badass because they all proceed to just beat the shit out of him, repeatedly. He even gets shot 6 times. And then one guy kicks him in the face. It's pretty brutal. So that's it. No more Michael. After this, Karen, Allison, and the rest of the survivors are recouping in front of the Myers house and all being tended to by paramedics. And then suddenly, it jumps back to the mob fight, where after getting his ass kicked, Michael just stands right back up and kills off every single member of the mob, one by one, including Tommy. Damn it, Tommy, you flew too close to the sun, man. In the final moments of the film, we see Karen go up to Judith's old bedroom and stare out the window, as Michael appears behind her and stabs her to death. The end. Alright guys, it was an amazing sequel. There were parts that I loved and parts that I questioned, but I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. It was a smooth transition from the 2018 film, and it seems like it was all in the same night, which is, I guess, what they were trying to do. I think the return of Kyle Richards, Charles Cyphers, and Nancy Stevens was great, and Anthony Michael Hall did a pretty good job as Tommy. I will say that I wish they would have kept Karen alive, though, and the cameo of the Silver Shamrock mask was a cool callback to Part 3. Personally, I think it should have ended at the angry mob scene, right when Michael's standing up. But, we still have Halloween Ends next year to look forward to. And keep in mind, Lori was benched the whole movie, so that means next time, it's her and Michael one-on-one. And there are some other things too. Halloween Ends will take place 4 years after the events of this movie, so it's going to be in real time. I guess Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills took place in 2018, and Halloween Ends takes place in 2021. And David Gordon Green even said it's going to include COVID and the Trump presidency. So we'll see how that factors in. Alright guys, I'll see you next time, and have a happy Halloween!